For many players, Artian weapons are ugly. However, they are also the strongest weapons in the game. Regular weapons, on the other hand, look amazing, but not quite as powerful. This creates an incredibly difficult decision for players to make. Everyone uses Artian. This has resulted in many hunters complaining about the lack of layered weapons. After all, the best weapons in the game being ugly is a shame, right? Well, maybe, just maybe, I might be able to change your mind on this. By the end of the video, hopefully you will have a slightly new perspective on the layered weapons situation. First things first, for new players, what are layered weapons? This feature allows the player to change the appearance of their weapon to another in the exact same way layered armor functions. Essentially, this weapon in my hands now, while looking amazing, under the surface could actually be my best in slot God roll Artian longsword. The player gets best of both worlds. You can use your most optimal damage weapon while donning the appearance of your favourite design weapon in the game. And after all, we can already achieve this via layered armor, as I mentioned. Right now, the set I'm wearing is an optimized set containing Gormagala, Arkveld and Jindahad pieces. But in appearance, you're seeing a combination of Blagonga and a Jarakan. This could leave you with the question, if we have layered armor, why not layered weapons? This is a good point, let's break it down. While I don't like to look at builds through this lens of something being useless, as everything can be used, in the case of armor, in endgame anyway, a lot of the sets are bad. We currently don't particularly have many fun armor sets that change the hunter's gameplay in a major way. This leads to players having one objective: more damage. And so it turns out, majority of the use for armor comes from high rank endgame monsters. You've likely already seen it yourself in my build videos. 90% of endgame builds right now consist of using a combination of 2-piece Gormagala, 2-piece Ebnio Dogoran, or maybe 2 pieces of Fulgur Anjanath combined with Arkveld, or maybe 1 piece of Jindahad here and there to fill in the gap. That's because these mentioned armor pieces provide the best set bonuses in the game, strong skills on the pieces themselves, and they possess the crown jewel to a good build, which is good decoration slots. You might be able to find a good looking piece of armor elsewhere with a nice skill attached, but it immediately gets made redundant when Arkveld's set has stronger skills, set bonus, and enough decorations to add in whatever else you need. Without layered armor, every hunter would look pretty damn similar to one another thanks to this lack of build variety. Also, pieces of some armor don't look great when paired with others, so in order to look really cool you would need to sacrifice a lot of power just for the sake of your chest and waist to match. Therefore, layered armor makes a lot of sense. Weapons are a bit different however. I would argue, at least in the case of longsword, every single one of these weapons are viable and offer something unique from one to another. Even when 2 weapons share the same element, one might do more damage but has less sharpness. Another might have more crit whereas the other has more raw attack. Furthermore, in wilds, weapons also have a skill directly attached to the weapon. The thought here being that it further adds to the unique playstyle or builds the hunter can craft around it. Does this matter if you can simply craft an Artian weapon that is stronger across the board in everything, and it has such incredibly overpowered decoration slots that you can put in any of the regular weapon built-in skills and still have room for 2 more equally powerful skills? And yeah, I think it kind of does matter actually. First, a point I want to make clear, one that I've been trying to tell everyone that asks for advice on my live streams with meta builds. Well, first off, it's to subscribe to the channel, but also it's that the average player will not feel a difference when using the God roll Artian versus a regular Artian versus any other weapon in the game. Of course, there is an objective improvement that will shave time off your hunts, but in the moment of play, quest taking 7 minutes versus 8 is not noticeable. I mean, look at this footage. Here is me in the training grounds hitting with a decent roll Dragon Artian longsword. My damage when hitting with regular attacks and no spirit gauge ran for around 119 and 93 when critting. With the Gormagala sword, which looks infinitely cooler, I'm hitting for 108 and 95. Roughly speaking, this is a 10% difference in power, which does seem huge, but when you actually put things into context, this would simply turn a 10-minute hunt into a 10% faster 9-minute hunt. And yeah, before anyone wants to get technical, time difference isn't exactly 1-to-1. Factors such as crit, sharpness do play a factor, but we all get the point I'm making. For speedrunners or those looking to get a personal best, yes, that time loss is very important. Luckily, 99% of the player base, including myself, are not speedrunners and simply play the game for fun. Point being, this one factor does not justify the point at large I'm trying to make in this video, and I am going to continue exploring that. However, if you truly find Artian weapons that ugly and you hate looking at them with such passion, Hopefully this sheds some light on the fact that you can walk away, use the good looking weapons for an overall marginally impacted game experience. But again, this doesn't explain why layered weapons are not in the game. So why do I think Capcom chose to add layered armor but not weapons? Well, being as Worlds is a direct successor to Monster Hunter World specifically, we need to look back on World real quick. Monster Hunter World introduced what we refer to as slap-on weapons. Opposed to having highly unique designs, they instead take parts of a monster and slap them onto bone or metal weapons. There's a few exceptions, but for the most part, weapon design in Monster Hunter World was very uninspiring compared to previous titles. In Worlds, however, as you will already know, and as we already discussed, the weapon design is incredible. Each and every one of them has their own unique thing going on that makes you want to craft them. This brings me on to a key point. With so much emphasis on weapon design improvement, I believe Capcom want us as players to build around our favourite weapon. For instance, the Ujarakan Sword and Shield is one of my favourite designs in the whole game. While I could build a stronger Artian and call it a day, I really wanted to build this specific weapon and build around it, purely because it looks good. Instead of throwing on the standard crit boost echoes and a razor sharp into my Artian, I now want to work with what I've got and build a crit blast build up set for fun. Each weapon draws you in with appearance, but requires you to build and tailor things around it to make up for its shortcomings or capitalise on what it already does well. The weapons coming equipped naturally with a skill also slightly makes up for the lack of decoration slots and also contributes to this pushing the player to building around the offered skill. In the process, this also differentiates one weapon from another purely outside of just damage, crit or elemental properties. And unlike armor sets, weapons can all be upgraded to the same tier of rarity, which allows them all to be viable and comparable to one another at a fundamental level. Whereas at a fundamental level, a rarity 8th piece of armor will always have a flat improvement on the armor it offers as a core example. Unlike armor pieces, in which some will always be better than another, weapons don't follow this same train of thought, at least not at such a baseline level. Ultimately, here's the problem with everything I just said. None of this matters if players aren't engaging with it. No matter how much players don't like how Artians look in appearance, evidently majority are still choosing to use them because they're stronger. Capcom now have a choice to make. Do they nerf Artian weapons, risk that whole endgame system losing value, but in return have players more likely to craft regular weapons for their intricate designs? Or do they accept that despite their intentions with all this, the playbase is doing their own thing anyway, so let's just give them what they want. Let's add in layered weapons, regular weapons will lose all value, but the endgame system is right where players want it to be. Here's my guess as to what will happen on this front. My assumption is that much like other endgame crafting systems in previous Monster Hunter titles, inbound title updates will allow Artian weapons to gain more power, whether that be through upgrades, augments, built-in skills, etc. Making Artian weapons even better would further increase the gap between them and the regular weapons to a point in which layers would be a given. Even if we don't get to further increase power levels of this stuff, I would still wager Capcom adds layers at some point. It's too short notice for this to happen in Title Update 1, but for sure I'd say expect it to land on our feet in Update 2 or 3. They could be really cheeky with us and add it in the very final update of base game to keep regulars as relevant as possible for as long as possible. We'll have to see. I mean, at the end of the day, all of these base game weapons will become null and void in the inevitable expansion a couple of years down the road. Me personally, for now, I'm trying to enjoy the current system while it lasts. I'm trying to stray away from using Artians 24/7 and it's been a lot of fun. I crafted all of the current longswords just for this purpose. In fact, the Gormagala dual blades looked so good they actually convinced me to pick them up and learn how to play dual blades in Wilds. They're really good, by the way. And if that isn't a great example of my overarching point here today, I don't know what is. If you see a weapon that looks cool, go craft it, go use it. If you made it this far, I'd greatly appreciate you to like and subscribe. Also, let me know what do you think on the layered weapon situation in the comment section down below. Include the word egg to show me you made it this far. Thanks for watching.